Okay, hi everybody. Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you all here. This is exciting. I'm thrilled that as many people are so interested in how we source a thriving global reality. It's brilliant. And I'm Soleira Green for the video purpose because I'm going to share this later. So we did a call last Friday, I think it was, where we did a call on elevate yourself, others, in the world. And we covered very quickly a little bit of some of this towards the end of that video. But I kind of want to come at it a little bit more thoroughly and maybe in some of those ways, but maybe in some other ways as well today. So if you've never heard me talk before and you want to ask questions or anything like that, just stick up your hand or put a message into chat to everybody and we'll play away like that. And I'm going to share it, recording afterwards. So if you don't want to be seen, just take the video off and mute and you'll be good. So sound good? Okay. So this is sourcing thriving global reality. And yeah, I made some notes. I'm all prepared, which is totally unlike me. So I thought the first thing we would do is ask the question, who are we now that we can do this? Because, in my earlier part of my life, if you'd have said to me, oh, we can source a thriving global reality, would have gone, what? Like, are you nuts? That sounds hard and heavy and big, and how on earth would we do that? Whereas today, from I think most, if not all of us on this call would say, oh yeah, we can do that. We can do it energetically. We can do it in consciousness. We can do it through our radiant presence. We can do it collectively in a whole variety of ways. There's just so many ways in which we can do this that it's really quite surprising. So I thought I'd talk first about this movement into an us that can source a thriving global reality, and then look at four different ways in which I was going to look at that and how we do it. So, sound good?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good,
Good.
good stuff. Well, I can talk about my own journey, but I think it probably applies collectively to a lot of us. And we might each have our own ways and, journeys and adventures into that. But just a sec, it says, what's it say? Zoom setting change is needed for to join Zoom and take net. I don't know what that means. So Centauri, if you can do anything with that, go for it. I don't know that I can. So okay, so one of the things that's happened to us is that we've gone from small people with problems to solve into expansive, super connected, even to some degree, collective beings with an expansive reach of energy, consciousness, life, etc., that can elevate what I would now call the creatrix of the world, or previously would have been called the matrix, but I think it's shifted in recent times. So I think that we're moving. So how many of you have experienced that movement yourself? Let's just see. Yeah, pretty much almost everybody. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that changes the game, I think. And it's not just a higher consciousness game, because we've done some of that too, but it's a radiant presence, super connected, exhilarating game in which the energetics are different. You with me so far? Yeah, yeah. And I think that's happening to, well, I think everybody. I don't know that everybody is associating themselves with it, but I think it's happening inside and to everyone. And it's how we choose to respond at the moment. And I think that people like us are on the leading edge of the wave, creating new breakthroughs in how we connect, how we create, how we collectively source breakthroughs, realities, all of that kind of thing. Yeah, a lot of you are experiencing that in this work we do together, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. So, first thing we want to do as we start this call is become that you, us, that can source a thriving global reality and maybe universe at the same time. So, however you do that, just I take a deep breath, expand, power up. I just use the term power up, and it just like boom, ripples through me, and I'm connected. So each of you do in your way, whatever that is, to come into that space, okay? And then feel us as that all aligning together for the greatest outcome from this call and for the world and for the universe and for life. Okay. And can you see that's what I call an expansive superflow state? Is that what it feels like? You might use different terms, but is that what it feels like for all of you while you're doing it? It's like you expand, you power up. There's a really great flow moving through you. Something is like the the things that life wants to become begin to move through you, not as a channel or a vessel, but as source or creator or universe or life. And it begins to move through you as it in a partnership, in a creative alliance or becoming, you could say, because it's kind of hard to draw lines in all that, because I think we're learning to become a different form of ourselves. Yeah? Anybody want to share about how that felt or what you did while we were doing that? Yeah, Bobby.
Just add for me, it's a both and of the opening to the upward, if you will, as well as grounding deeply into the earth and the earth wisdom, which has to kind of come through the body in order to be part of this. And if we're going to make things manifest, it has to come through the physicality of us in that partnership with, the big flows.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. I call it radiant presence. It is about presence here. It's not for me so much about like going up and away from life. It's being with life in this kind of transformative, transcendent, alchemical source creation states, which lets us impact life and realities in a beautiful, beautiful way. So, yeah. Anybody else want to share? No? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about four different ways in which we can source global reality. And if anybody's got other ways, or you can think of things we've done in the past that I'm not mentioning, feel free to bring them into the conversation. So I'll just give you the four quick overviews. So one is forming a new collective field and power source. That's number one. Number two is how we work in the murmuration of maestros to source breakthroughs and create new versions of reality. Number three is this partnering with the earth, the world, the universe to in magnificence and miraculousness and to unleash that in everyone and everything. And the fourth is every cell of you, us, to every cell of everything to exhilarate every cell of all life. Those are the four that came to me as I was getting ready to do this. So Some of you will have been with us as we worked through some of that, and for some people it might be like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so the first one, forming a new collective field and power source. So I'll talk a little bit about what we did, but we'll play with it as well so you can get the experience of it. So, with the Murmuration and Maestros group that we do calls at least once a week, if not more often sometimes, we started with like being a circle of players who were doing greater work, and then we added in the bees and the trees and the whales and the oceans and the tree mycelium networks and the universe and the stars, and we formed a collective that could be a greater power source or a greater field of energy and power and reach. And that was just wonderful to do, to see that collective field forming. And for quite some time, we would come into that collectiveness, which moved from like being a circle to being a kind of spherical collectiveness. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Great to have you with us. I'm
Thank
Soleira.
you.
Yeah.
Hi.
So I just did an intro and we're just in I'm just talking about four different ways in which we can source a thriving global reality. So the first one
Yeah.
is a move into a collective field or power source that includes all life forms on Earth at least, if, and including the stars and the universe, etc. And when we did that, as we became a greater field than just a person or even a bunch of people or a bunch of maestros creating whatever, it enhanced and enriched our ability to be life, to source a collective power that helped the world to elevate, exhilarate, expand, connect, be more wondrousness of itself. That's how I would say it. So I want to give us the experience of it, not just talk about it. So I'll just walk you through it. But like I always say, as I'm walking you through it, if something doesn't feel like that's how you do it your maestro way, do it your brilliant way of doing it, whatever that is. Okay? Because it'll all just include into the creation. Okay, so I'm going to just step you through it. So we lined up, we became our expansive selves earlier. Okay, so if you just go back into that state where you feel connected, you feel that kind of exhilarated, vibrant flow going through you. And then just feel that collective power source that's made up of the oceans and the trees and the mycelium networks and the bees and the whales and the dolphins and the all the animals and the stars and the universe and all of us, all of humanity, all of life. And then as that just I would say just exhilarate all life, whatever that feels like to you. And then if you want, you can put the world kind of in the center of in the core of all that and exhilarate, elevate the whole world into a thriving, super connected, beautiful, wondrous, miraculous being and planet. Okay. Can you see, like for me, that as you do that, it exhilarates you. So as opposed to there's a world with all its challenges and problems and heaviness and, all of that. Instead, you're being with everything as if it's miraculous and has capacities and connectedness beyond even what we might even understand today. And as you exhilarate it as a kind of collective force, you're exhilarated. Did you all notice that? Like you raise in frequency, you get a smile on your face, you feel brilliant, actually. It almost it gives you energy while you're sourcing energy into the world. It's a whole different paradigm or reality of how we can play with this. So anybody want to share what that was like for you? Yeah, Doriana, go for it.
So I got the vision of a dog coming out of a flea bath at the groomers, and it shakes, and all that stuff, all the fleas and all the water and stuff just shoots out, and then it gets dried and it looks all puffy, and I just saw the earth just going like this, like a animated and laughing, and it made me smile.
That's a great analogy. Do you know, when you were talking about that, it reminded me that there are people in the world who see the world in desperate straits, nature being trampled upon, etc. And we tend to see the world as a miraculous, sentient, creative being. And when we relate to it like that, more miraculousness occurs in the world. And I think that makes a huge difference how you perceive something or someone or whatever. It makes a huge difference in terms of how it shows up, etc., etc. So anybody else want to share what you got while we were doing that? Because it felt like we were doing pretty big work together.
Oh, I felt everything you said, Soleira, just like the exhilaration and the thrumming of it all. But at the end, when I put the world in the center, like in it, it's funny, Doriana got a kind of interesting image because so did I. Like in cartoons, when maybe a cat and a dog are fighting, or Tweety Bird and Sylvester Cat, I don't know, and they put them in a burlap bag, and you just see like all these, the bag moving around. It was like the globe was doing that, like little um, protrusions were coming out as if something was just trying to burst free and out of
Ah,
the paradigm. I don't know. It was like the world was doing that kind of
oh,
cartoon image.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
yeah.
I apply this same thing to working with individual people. And I'll just say, because I was working with someone this morning in the alchemical apprentice program that I do with them. And I was saying, there is who we are, there is who we're becoming, but there's what the universe wants us to become. And as soon as you open up to what the universe wants you to become, you're looking at new possibilities of yourself and ourselves and the earth and the world and what it's for and how we operate. And it's a whole different vantage point for creative endeavor, I think, to look from that place as opposed to look straight on at what is or what we're becoming. This is a whole different look. And it was fascinating to do that work with her this morning because, whoa, things just opened up in an extraordinary way, really almost alchemically fast. Yeah, Lynn, go for it.
I'm just getting because I've started now more and more to just, to see the beauty in whatever is. And I did that now to nature, whatever in at Earth. But I have this sense that we're bringing in a higher blueprint, and that's what we're seeing. It's not, that's we're here to bring in that 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 which is already there. It's just that we're kind of tuning into a different radio program, put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a new version of reality or versions. It seems to continually.
Yeah, there's no, and it reminds me of when I was studying to be a rabbi, and when I finally understood why do we praise God? Because when we praise something that's beyond us, that's what happens. We get a big smile on our faces, and when we always look at people and find something that's beautiful in them, it actually elevates our own energy. So
Yeah.
that sort of, I just made that connection now in a
Yeah. And
good
we're
way.
taking that to a collective life level as well. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at a small screen, Bobby. So what I call that, Lynn, in my world, Infinite Mother's original organic template. That's brilliant. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, we might all use different language, different archetypes, different ways of framing this. I don't think it matters how we language it. I'm not attached to terms or whatever. I think each one of us has a miraculous way and capacity that when brought together in a collective swirl of creation, it's like a kaleidoscope forming a new picture. So I think that's a really exciting thing that we all play with it from slightly different angles, but with different mastery and capacities is really an exciting part of it, I think. Okay, so that was the first part. The first way that I was looking at was forming a new collective field or power source. So the second one is how we work with it in the Murmuration of Maestros group. So I'll talk a little bit about that for those who don't know it, because a couple of you may not know what that is and how we do it. So it's a membership group that I host, and we do at least once a week calls, if not twice a week, occasionally. And we are innovating consciousness to source breakthroughs that liberate people, reality, life, the earth, the world, all life forms, etc. And we're bringing in new possibilities. And as we bring in new possibilities, that kind of out of the ethers or wherever it comes from, we bring in new possibilities. We download those possibilities into present day consciousness in the air we breathe, and then we embody them in our own selves as living templates. So we don't just go into consciousness and make a shift, we bring it in to ourselves. And when we do that, I'm not directing it. Just like I was saying earlier, I say go and we go. And we're working with what wants to happen through us now, as opposed to some directive that we might think we're doing. If we just say go, what wants to happen through us now, we're each bringing through something that might be different, but what we find in every single case we do it is that the synergy and synchronicity of all these pieces that come through, we start to share what we got, and it starts to merge and form into a collective breakthrough. So that's my way of talking about it. Lynn, Julia, Kelly, you've been in those calls, or Sheila too, Centauri as well. Do you want to say anything about how we work that might be good for other people to hear? Nope. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you. Just
as you say, we all vocalize it differently, but when it's all taken together, the whole means more or less the same. So I've said on the calls, we're like facets of a huge diamond. We're all facets. We all work separately and individually and are strong, but together we're like off the Richter scale. But but we are all together, but separate. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to explain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautifully put. Thanks, Julia. Yeah. Um, it's like a kaleidoscopic creation or co-creation because again, it's not directed, it's it and it's kind of what wants to happen and then I have an ability to kind of watch what's forming. And when people are sharing, you can see the synergy and then we pull it together. So let's try it and see what happens when we do it. And so we'll get a couple of people to share afterwards what they've got, and you'll see how it has a kind of synergy to it that begins to create a breakthrough. So if we said, what wants to happen through us right now for life, for the universe, for the world, etc., and you just go and do your thing with that and bring it into this collective co-creative space, then we'll see what we get. Okay? Here we go. Okay. Oh, that was just beautiful. It was just amazing. I've been kind of on the leading edge of sourcing and creating newness for 3 decades now, but this felt like we're right in a place of becoming everything. Everybody, like there's an emergence happening, a fusion of our collective abilities and capacities and connection. Everything's kind of newing itself up. And we're emerging into a kind of a new collective species with new abilities. And in the end, there was just like this burst of, it wasn't just light. I don't know how to describe what it was, actually. Maybe somebody else will have seen something similar and give it a better description than I can, but it was some sort of confirmation of our collective becoming, I would say. So, who else? What'd you get?
I saw us as something like water, but the reason why I say water is because the sense of the thing was that it was, yeah, in everything. Like what in all forms, in everything, infinitely renewable, like water goes to steam, goes up in the clouds, comes down in rain. It's in every sentient thing.
Yeah.
It somehow something came across to me of like more knowing that we are exactly like that, like the
Yeah.
water. I don't know,
And
something
when
like
you
that.
said it, I thought of the term morphable because I feel
Yeah,
morphable right now.
yeah,
Like
that's
I'm not a set identity, persona, you know, life experience, etc. I feel like I'm constantly morphing. Does anybody else feel like that?
well, yeah, and I think that was kind of what I was getting from the water imagery. Like it exists in so many different forms,
Yeah.
and that we should be knowing that is us.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Doriana, go for it.
So I did my thing and finally climbed up into a field where everybody was in a circle and around a fire. And then we all started spinning around the fire and like little black Sambo, which was uh, in my early childhood now not now frowned upon. But anyway, the tigers were all chasing themselves around a tree and they turned to butter. And we were spinning so fast that we turned into light and into our light bodies. So
Interesting.
I'm
As
adding
Sharon's,
fire to the water.
yeah. See, morphable emergence, merging, big collective. See how the synergy? So Sharon's nodding and smiling. So Sharon, do you want to share what you got as well?
Now, just a word, laughter, and that includes animals, birds, and there's a unity about around laughter, and I certainly need more of it.
Fantastic. Yeah. You see how the synergy, so oh, yeah, go for it, Sheila. Yeah.
Um, I got first an experience of, oh God, what I guess what I would call the tendency to conflict. And um, and then I'm like asking, okay, where are we going with this? What's coming through? And then I got that that really what that is a desire for collaboration, that we are moving toward an understanding that coming together of opposites and different ideas and different concepts and different desires, particularly, I desire this and you have it. And that I've been reading a lot of history, and anyway, so coming down to, we are moving absolutely toward the inquiry of collaboration rather than coming at, I want to have what you have. I'm going to come to you and say, you have that, how do you have that, and how can I participate with that?
Brilliant.
Anyway, that's what I got.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. 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 So you can see that some things, it's a kaleidoscopic picture. Each one has a picture of it, and it's got a synergy around it. And then in the maestros group, we'll do that 2 or 3 times until it fleshes out into a singular, oh, that's what's wanting to happen through us. Do you see what I mean? So each one of us brings something unique to it that forms the pieces of the puzzle that then source a breakthrough. And I would say emergence, fusion, morphability, that seems to be the theme that's coming through this as we're becoming something new, something exciting that's collective, collaborative, co-creative, morphable, etc. And I think that's really exciting. So if we just, before we move to number 3 of the 4 I want to explain, if we just take whatever you got and gift it to the world as our kaleidoscopic creation, let's do that. Okay? All right, here we go. Okay. Oh, that was so beautiful. It quite moved me almost to tears. Um, a couple, and this is what came up for me as we were doing it. Must have been 2, maybe even 3 years ago in the Murmuration and Maestros group. We called Source, Universe, God, Creator, Infinite, All, put on any term you want. It all seemed quite distant sometimes to life. And we called it into presence in ourselves, in the earth, in people, in animals, it just in the oceans, in everything. We just called, I'll just use the term source just to encompass all that. We just called source into everything. And I remember thinking, gee, I wonder what it'll look like to kind of embody that. What will we be like? And this felt like, oh, there. This is this is what it's like to have a world full of sourceful, infinite creators. And it was like gifting this new possibility to the world, is how it came up for me, which was quite beautiful. Yeah. So, anybody else want to share what you got when we did that? Yeah, go for it, Bobby.
I actually just put this in the chat. Um, but really this sense, so bringing the earth element in, since we have some water and some fire, um, the rooting of life, all life, into a always evolving, morphing, deepening of that trust in the innate and infinite wholeness that is available beyond the illusions of separation that we've all kind of bought into, and that I think is part of what this process, your process and groups and gatherings, is supporting the shedding of that. So
Yeah.
how magnificent to have that as, as part of the wholeness is shedding the separations.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree because I think we're moving from individuals connecting to collective orientation where we're always interconnected with all life, in love with nature. Seeing animals is amazing, seeing human beings as magnificent, miraculous, as possibilities, no matter what. It's a completely different way of being in life than the individual model that we're kind of working from in the past, and maybe even some still in the present. So yeah, beautiful. Anybody else want to share anything? No? Okay. Okay, I'll go into number 3. So,
Sheila was going to share something,
oh,
Soleira.
were you? Sorry, I didn't see you, Sheila.
Just really quick, moving from individual and tribal, actually,
Mm,
into collaboration, collective reality. Yeah,
yeah,
just that little.
beautiful. Gorgeous. I like that you keep bringing collaboration in because it's collaborative. And I think that's an essential word that's part of this. It's how we co-create together in some way. So yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so number 3 is in the expansive reach, whether that's collective, whether that's source, universe, God, creator, infinite, all, however you frame that, in your expansiveness, then you partner with that and the earth, the world, in its magnificence and miraculousness. And then you unleash and activate the miraculous in everything. You with me for that? Do you want me to say that again? Yeah, should I say it again? Yes, you're nodding. Okay, good. Okay, so you go into your expansive reach. We're becoming something new, something sourceful, something co-creative and collective and even universal and infinite, as well as being radiantly present here. And what you do is you be with all life, the earth, the universe, whatever calls to you, and you unleash its miraculousness in whatever way is yours to do. Okay, so we're going to do that now. Here we go. Okay. Whew, I tell you, I sometimes work with what I call the great grand forces of life. And the miraculous is one of those. And as we went to do that, it was like this miraculous force of life just shot through us. And I swear I was going to lift off the chair. That's almost how it felt. It was just like so exhilarating and uplifting and just brilliant. But it wasn't like it was just coming through each of us individually. It was coming through us as into everything as an activated force, miraculous force of life. That's what I got. So, anybody else want to share what happened for you in that last one? Yeah, Lynn, go for it.
I just sensed how it just expanded not only into Earth, but to everything, to the whole universe. It was like it wasn't contained in any way. It was just the miraculous was everything was infused through the universe.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely. But when you unleash the miraculousness in something or somebody or greater universe, whatever, it responds miraculously. It's quite amazing, actually, how that works. Wow, I love the greater work we're doing on this call together. It's quite extraordinary. So, yeah, an activated field or a force, a field infusing all. Yeah, that's exactly it, Bobby. It does. It's like we're no longer an individual trying to impact a big field. We're a greater collective alchemical source working with greater forces to elevate and exhilarate life everywhere, through everything and everybody. It's a brilliant way, I think, to do it. So, yeah, Sheila, go for it.
What comes to me in what you're saying and what we're doing is God as me recognizes God in all.
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Doriana.
So I work with Velaren, I Breathe With You, which is an entrance for me into divine coordination, cooperation, communication. And this time and last time, I got a quivering in my lower lip, which I've never had before. And I envisioned the whole globe just expanding in white fire out into the universe, everyone being cleansed and brought into that frequency of divine. It was lovely.
Beautiful. You see how we all do it so differently, but yet it forges together to do something extraordinary. Yeah, Julia.
I saw my collaboration. It was quite lovely, really. It was like a gossamer thread, an opaque gossamer thread, um, silken and gentle, all round the world, affecting everything, everybody. But this thread was like spider's web, how it looks very fragile, but it's like tensile steel, and
Yeah.
and it's got softness about it, but the softness has a great strength, and it was just, I'm going all goosey pimples. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
That's beautifully described. Yeah. How we're interwoven in a new
Yeah,
way, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about number 4. So we've just been playing with this in the last 2 to 3 weeks in the Maestros group. I think it came up for me. I was watching a Zach Bush video, which I really like his videos. I think he's great. And he was talking about something about every cell of us to every cell of everything. And so when we got on the Maestros group, we said, well, if every cell of us is interwoven with every cell of everything, if that's actually a true thing, which most definitely can be, then if we exhilarate from our own cells as if we are every cell of everything, then every cell of life exhilarates, it elevates, goes to new places, etc. But it's not like you're forcing something to happen. It's not agenda based, as in, oh, here, have this. You're just exhilarating yourself, but as you do that, you're exhilarating everything, and everything rises into a new level. So you got what I'm talking about as a, okay. Okay, let's just try it and see what happens when we play with that. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh gosh. Every one of these feels so different. It's the different energetic that we're playing with. And that one felt very different to the other three, but just about as exhilarating and moving. I think my favorite was number 3 when we worked with the Miraculous Force coming through. But they all have impact on the world, the universe, life, everything. all life in some way. So anybody else want to share what that last one was? Yeah, Doriana.
So, uh, I went back to Teilhard de Chardin and his book back in, I don't know, 50s, 60s, where he talked about the spark. He was a Jesuit priest who wrote, uh, anyway, I can't remember the name at the moment. But anyway, he talked about in the future how we would find that there was this spark in every molecule, every being, whether it was one celled or whatever, that this one pinpoint of light would be found to be there. And I think that's what we're talking about. And then the ubiquitousness of water in all its form and the plasma and ethers and the three forms that we're familiar with, how especially the hydrogen atom is ubiquitous throughout our whole universe. And water itself is the communication device that in every molecule of water or every even smaller portion of molecules, especially the hydrogen atom, carries information into us and out. So we have access to all information from the whole cosmos through those molecular parts. And so we're just putting the touches of what that looks like out here, which you're so great at doing.
Yeah.
So
Thanks. Yeah. Brilliant. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, Bobby.
Similar to Doriana, I actually went to the particle level, went totally quantum, and just it is all connected and it is all us, and there is no them or othering. And this, my sense is that that this practice, whether it's via cells or atoms or particles, um, if we can be the models to feel that, spread that field of awareness in conscious co-creation, more and more of the othering that is sort of out there, that happens a lot and that we often do to ourselves, can come into a fresh redefinition,
Yes.
a fresh up leveling, which is exactly what we're doing with the exhilarating and expanding and in these practices.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I think that what we're pointing to through all of these, regardless of how we're doing it, we're becoming alchemical activators of life. And well, for me, that's a new thing in the last 30 years. It's really started to really come present for me in the last year and a half, 2 years. I mean, I've been working myself towards it in a variety of ways through the 30 years, 3 decades, but to recognize that we can be alchemical activators of and for life, for creation, to emerge into a new version of ourselves, a version of life on Earth and throughout the universe is an extraordinary thing. And one of the things there's a couple of things that I love about it. One is it's super practical. I mean, I have so much vitality, so much well-being, so many great ideas. Abundance flows naturally. I have great buddies all over the world. It's a different version of life, but it's very, very practical. But it's also impactful. that you don't have to live a life feeling like you can't make a difference or the world's bigger and in a mess or you live in a vibrant state of being able to elicit impact in the world and not just make a difference, but to source creation and life to emerge in new ways for the betterment of us all. And I would say without agenda. You know, I don't have it in my head, it should look like this when it's finished. I think that's one of the beauties of it for us as well, is that we're not trying to fix something as how we think it should be. We're kind of agents of life streaming through us, creation streaming through us with new possibilities as to what we can become and how we can see all life thrive on this beautiful planet and throughout the universe. And so for me, it is a real living presence that, I go do groceries sometimes and I go walk around the moat and love life on the moat and how I relate with my friends and how I write books and all of it. It's a different way of being in life like this. And I think it's hugely practical. Okay, we're going to close her up in a couple of minutes. So anybody want to share anything before we go? No? Okay. So, a little bit of promotion. So, I'm starting a webinar series next Monday. I think it starts. Some of you are already in it. That's called Sourcing Global Reality. And we'll play with all of this more and more and more as we go through it. It's Mondays at 5 p.m. UK. It'll be noon Eastern next week. Today it was 1 p.m. Eastern because of our time change. So, but also I do in-person training with it as well. So there's a Sourcing Reality, Yours, Others in the World in-person training that I do here. If anybody's interested in that, just shout. It's all on my website, soleragreen.com, and you can find things there about it. But has been fabulous. You know what's wonderful? Some of you are brand new, never met you before. Others I've known for eons. And look how kind of we just come together and create so beautifully together. It's just amazing to me that that's the way the world can work. So thank you for being who you are and being on this call and doing wonderful things together. Okay, I'll post the recording in the Global Alliance of Modern Day Alchemists on my timeline and wherever else you see it. In the event page as well. So if you wanted to watch it again, you can do that there. Okay, thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Bye.